Hello and welcome to a new tutorial for Sonic Sorcery. I'm Stefan Key, your Sonic Sorcerer. And in this video, I want to show you how to create your own effect tracks for your live performances, for your sound journeys. And in this example, I have the template again that I reviewed in the last video in depth, like the sounds of PALENQUE, the template for Shamanic sound journeys and Cacao ceremonies. And so let's have a look here at the instruments. If I open the instrument group and I pick this sound as an example here, this plucked strings. So if I go on this channel, you can already see that Casey already did like an audio effect track. However, I want to create my own. I also feel I would like to add some things and make more use of all the macro knobs. So for now, let's just ungroup it so that we don't lose the EQ, because if I just delete it, then the EQ is gone, and that would be not so cool because we spend a lot of time mixing the template. So I delete the echo and the large shimmer plate. So now the sound on its own sounds like this, right? Nice, but also we would like to change it a little bit and put some more color and movement on it. So the way to do that is Ableton has a really cool feature which is called audio effect track. So we can go here to audio effects in the browser, and then you go to utilities, I believe. Yeah, we are in Ableton 11 here, by the way, the latest version. No, almost. The update for 11.2 will be applied next time. So it's like 11.16, I guess. Anyway, so you go to utilities and then you go to audio effect track. And if you are in 10, you just find it in the audio effects, and then there's audio effect track, I believe, if I remember correctly. So now you see we have this box here, or like this device holder where it says drop audio effects here, right? So I like to start actually with an EQ. So let's go to the audio effects here, and there's the channel EQ that I really like. So let's bring in the channel EQ, and it's important that you bring it here where it says drop audio effects, right? And so now let's listen. What I want to do with this one is I want to take out the highs or boost the highs, right? We could take out the lows or boost the lows, but this doesn't make so much sense in this case. So let's just use the highs, because you know, if they decrease the highs a little bit, it can cut through in the mix more, depending on what else is going on. Or if you find it too bright, you can make it more warm, right? All depending on your choices. So what I want to do now, I want to map this one to a macro knob. And in order to do that, we click here on this guy, and this opens up all the macro controls. And the cool thing is with the macro knobs, you create like an opportunity to control more than just one parameter if you want to, right? So the whole idea of the audio effect track is you can have as many effects as you want, and you can create a customized effect chain that suits your needs, and you can control everything through the macro controls, which is really cool. So let's say I want to map this high shelf here from the channel EQ to the macro 1. All I need to do is right click, map to macro 1. You see, and now I cannot move it here anymore because it's mapped to macro 1, but then I can play it and I can map it here, move it here, right? And then it's moving. So let's call this high shelf, which is the name of the EQ band. It's a high shelf EQ. So that's the first one. And then I want to add a filter where I will take out also the highs. So let's go to auto filter, drop this here. So now you always need to make sure that it's within this compartment here. If you put it outside, you cannot map it. So now I want to map the frequency here of the filter. So I do that, I map to macro 2, right? And then let's call that filter. And let's see what happens. So now with the filter, I can filter the signal out, right? So this helps also for transitions. So you can take out all the high frequencies and then slowly bring it in. So that's a really cool effect. If you want to have something come in gently and open it up more and more by bringing in more and more high frequency content. We could increase the resonance a little bit for it to have a bit more drastic effect. You know, and if you want this wah-wah kind of effect, then you can increase the resonance even more, like, you know what I mean? So like the resonance is giving a little boost on whatever frequency is set. So for me that's too much, I don't like it so much. Maybe I leave it at 24 for now. Yeah, so now we have set the filter, that's really cool. And what you also can do is you could set like a couple of parameters at once. This would be, for instance, the opposite direction of the filter. Let's say we want to take out, like a DJ filter, take out the highs, right? This also works. And in the DJ filter, the resonance would also increase. So also let's map also the resonance. So I could also map that to filter. You see, I click on resonance, right click, map to filter. And what happens now is the resonance increases as I take out the frequencies. What we have now is we get a pretty harsh sound because the resonance is too high, right? So I don't want the resonance to go all the way that high. So we can now set the minimum and maximum value of this parameter here in the mapping. So if I click on map here, you see here we have the minimum and maximum, and here you see everything that has been mapped, like the filter frequency, the resonance, right? So now in the resonance, I want to set the maximum to, let's say, yeah, maybe 60%. Let's see how that goes. Click map again, and let's have a listen. What is the maximum now? Yeah, right, that's okay. That's not too harsh. So the resonance is not going higher than this and not all the way up here like it was before. So that's cool. And now we have this DJ effect where we... And of course, you can also bring it in the other way, right? You just trigger it, you have to filter all the way up, and then you slowly bring it in from the high frequencies. Right, so that's another option. And then let's put another effect, a delay. Casey was choosing the echo effect, which is really cool, but you only have it in the suite version, and if you're in the standard version, you don't have it. So let's, I also like the delay here, by the way. So let's take the delay, put it here. And now what we want to automate is the feedback of the delay and the dry wet. So first, let's have a listen here. Right. So first the dry wet. So I map that to macro 3, and we call that delay. Right. So now and now I also want to be able to control the feedback here. So the amount of repetitions, and I map that to macro 4. And then I rename this to delay feedback. Right, so now I can decide how many repetitions I want to have if I increase the feedback. You know, and this is also nice to make transitions and fade things out. And if you want to, you can also decrease the filter width a little bit, so we don't have so much low end. So there's a filter in the delay that takes out frequencies. So if you go a little lower, and you can also move it a little bit more to the side if you want, then you make sure that you don't have so much low end, which can be a little bit muddy if you have too much low end buildup. Okay, so we have that, and also if you want, you can change, of course, the timing. Now it's set to repitch, which means every time the delay time changes, the pitch changes, which is pretty psychedelic. If you don't want that, you just set it to fade, and then you can change the delay times without changing the pitch. I like it to set it to ping pong also, so this means it goes from left to right, makes it a little bit more wide. Right, so that's one effect that I really like. So now we have the delay. So now what I also like to put in is an auto pen, which creates a little bit more movement. And I think it's in the pitch and modulation. Yeah, exactly. So let's put the auto pen, yeah, at the end. So if we listen, now it's in the center, but if I increase the amount, right, you will hear that the sound is moving from left to right, which is really cool. And then you can increase the rate and have this nice tremolo effect. Right, and if you want it to be like subtle, you can have like slow rate and a subtle amount, right? So now it's moving a little bit from left to right. Yeah, it's just like a little bit psychedelic, but it's also mainly also to make it a bit more alive by moving from left to right. So we can try to see what happens if we map both actually to the same. So let's map both to macro 5. Right, so this will be then the auto pen. Let's hear what happens. So if we have it subtle, if you set it to 30, you have like a nice, beautiful movement from left to right. If you also look here, right, it's moving from left to right. And then as we increase it, we get a more drastical panning until we get the super wide tremolo effect. It's maybe interesting with more delay also. You know, it's just creating a lot more interesting textures and stuff. So that's the auto pen that I really like. And by the way, if you want to color them, like according to the device, right, we could say, okay, that's the filter. Those are both the delay. Oh, sorry, this is also, this is the filter. And this is the delay, and this is the feedback of the delay, and this is the auto pen. So they get all their own colors. So you also have like a visual representation of what they're doing. And of course, what is missing, the reverb. And then I would also like to add the fade to gray. So those are the two that I want to add. So now let's start with the reverb. So you go to audio effects, reverb, and I also prefer the large shimmer plate that Casey chose, which you have in the hybrid reverb, which comes with Ableton 11 suite. So you have to have the suite. Oh, where was it? Was it in Space? Probably. Yeah, in Space, in the hybrid reverb large shimmer plate. That's one that I really like. And what we want to control in the reverb is the dry wet and maybe the decay time, because it's kind of like how long the reverb tail is, right? So now if we increase the dry wet here, you will hear, and it's a super long decay, right? So if you find it too long, you can make it shorter. Right? And then you can increase it. So I like this option to map both because it gives us the opportunity to, the idea would be to put this effect rack on all the groups, you know, like this is how I work with it. And I like the opportunity to have different settings for each group and also different reverb sizes. So what we can do is we can map this one to macro 6, that's the dry wet of the reverb, and then the decay time we map to macro 7. Right, so this is like, we rename this to reverb. Give this a color. And this I call the reverb size, although technically it's not the size. It's more like the length of the tail. But it relates anyway, so I mean it translates, right? Because you get the idea that the reverb is growing. And maybe reverb length doesn't make so much sense. Right, so now it's really short. It's just also interesting. But then if you want to get those real long, right, so what I really recommend you to do after you set a reverb is to put another EQ. I mean, the EQ is at the end here, we have the low cut, but actually the EQ should be at the beginning, to be honest. So let's put that even in front of the effect rack because we want to have all the frequency treatment first, so we cut out some resonances and stuff. So now let's put another EQ after the reverb just to take out the low end, because it can get muddy, as you heard already. It gets kind of diffusing. Nope, the EQ is here, EQ 8, and just put it behind the reverb. There's not much low end in here for now, which is good, but just to make sure. You know, the thing is, in this signal, there might not be much low end, but if you put it on other groups where the flutes are, or even drums and stuff like that, then it's really important to have the low cut on the reverb. So it's good to make it yourself a habit after reverb, put a low cut, you know, just set the EQ here to the low cut and set it to something like 80 or 90 or something to cut out the sub frequencies. Okay, so now the last thing that is missing is, oh yeah, and I also want to show you the alternative. So let's say you don't have the large shimmer plate, right? So which one would I use if I had the standard version, or 10? 10 also doesn't have the hybrid reverb, so in 10 we still only have the normal reverb here. So we would go here to reverb, and what I like is bright long verb, or there's another one. Frozen build-up is nice as well. Yeah, let's go with frozen build-up in this case. and it's frozen build-up because it has the freeze engaged, but we can turn the freeze off for now. And just same thing, we just map the dry wet here to reverb, and we map the decay time to reverb size, and we have the same effect but just a different reverb. Right? And if you wanted to freeze it, you could hit freeze, and then it has this kind of drone that is always playing, right? So you still hear the freezing of the reverb tail. It's still playing till we turn it off. So that's a nice effect. You could map that on another button if you wanted to. Okay, so the last thing is the fade to gray, my favorite transition effect. And for that, it's also in 10, so you need to go to audio effects. Here it's in utilities, audio effect rack. In the other one, it's just audio effects, audio effect rack. And then you go to performance and DJ, and you just select knob 1, fade to gray. That's the one that we want. Put it here at the very end. And let me just show you quickly what it's doing. For those who don't know, if you watch a couple of my videos already, you know that I love this effect. So what happens if I increase this? You know, you have this super elegant, washed out delay effect fading into infinity, which is amazing for transitions. But it's also amazing to bring elements in. So let's say, right, so we have this one. Oh, let me stop again. Do like this. Because the delay is so strong, we need to wait. Okay, so let's see. I want to trigger this one, right? And the fade is all the way up. And I can bring it slowly backwards to introduce a new element in the mix or in the journey. Super cool. So I like it both ways. I like it for fade outs and for fade ins. And we'll map this one to micro 8. And this is the fade that can stay the fade. That's great. And there you have it. And now you can close it again. You don't need to look under the hood. So now it's a tiny little neat box. And the cool thing is you can put that on each channel now. Let's say I wanted to put it also on the rhythmic textures, right? So I can put it just on the group. So now if I'm playing some percussions here, and then it's on there as well. You know, and this way you get a lot more dynamic in your performances. And of course, if you have a MIDI controller or if you have the push, right? So then this is already mapped, and if you have a MIDI controller, you can map it and then you can control it, and then it gets really fun because then you don't need to use the mouse for it. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you get inspired to create your own effect racks. This is just my choice. You know, you can play around. You can also put in phasers and flangers and choruses and all that stuff. I really invite you to play and see what is available here in the modulator section. Or maybe not here. Pitch and modulation, chorus, phaser, shifter, like all kinds of things, and just play around with them and see. But this is kind of my standard setup for live performance and sound journeys and stuff like that. So that's it for this tutorial. If you're interested to get this amazing template, which I reviewed in depth in my last video, there will be a link in the description. It's really amazing for Cacao ceremonies and shamanic sound journeys. It's a very deep, dark, mystical, magical experience. And yeah, if you're curious to find out more about it, I highly recommend you to check out the video that I did on that. And if you want to create magic with sound yourself, and if you want to join a community of sonic wizards, maybe the Academy for Sonic Sorcery might be interesting for you. It's my online school where we have different tier levels like the Adept and the Mage, and you get a lot of benefits. Of course, you can get access to download all my tutorial video Ableton projects. And also you get discount for purchasing of my templates. You get 15% off. And also you can join our Discord server and our weekly meetings. So in our Discord server, there's a beautiful, loving and very supportive community of mutual wizards and kindred spirits, and we talk about all kinds of things like plugins and music and production tips and sound healing, and we give each other feedback on our tracks. And yeah, and every Wednesday we have a meeting where we share about our journey and where we can ask questions like Q&A about music production related themes. So if you're interested in that, there will also be a link in the description to join the Academy. And as a mage, you also, on top of that, get access to a 1 hour private one-on-one online teaching or coaching with me. So that is another option that is available. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.